Hello and welcome to today's class. So for today's class, and again, none of these are like absolutely essential, but they can be nice to have, an oil, or I'm bringing this, get my face out so it'll work it. It's a breast balm that a friend of mine made, but I've been using it because where I live, and I think where most of us live now, it's like we're entering that dry season. And so I've actually been using like this thick balm on my face after I, of course, wash it and apply the other things, the serum. Then this is a bit of a seal for me that I've been using on my face, and it feels really nice. So you can also have something like this with you. Another thing I brought, and this is a bit me sharing some nice things, that are not at all necessary. I also will typically use like olive oil on my face or on my body as a massage. You can use coconut oil that you cook with on your face and on your body if it doesn't break out. My body does not like coconut oil on it. I get like a lot of acne every single time after I use it, so I don't use that, but it might work out for you. Another sort of thing that I like to use mostly just on my chest and like upper neck is it's like a scented salve. So I'll show you. So this one is patchouli rose, and it's just like a more of a thick cream. Normally you just put like a little bit underneath your collarbones for smell and like on your wrist, but I sometimes like to like do massage because I suppose I should let you know that's what we'll be doing a bit today, is working in the upper cavity and then finishing off in the lower. So again, because we're going to be working on more of a energetic and fascial level, you don't need to have any oils for this class, but you might find as you're going, you're like, oh, I would really like to get some oil in here. So having it on standby can be really helpful. Another thing, which I'm assuming most of you don't have, but again, I want to introduce it in this space as a luxurious tool to own. Just trying to get it out of its package. And I have two different types only because I was gifted two different types, and it's nice just if you can to like see which ones work best for you. Okay. And some of you might already know about these and have them and love them, and this is for those of you that don't have them and maybe have never heard of them. So these are called facial cups. Mine are just like basic silicone ones. So I have this size for my face. If I put it in front of my face, you'll be able to see them better. I find this one or this shape works a lot better. You can imagine with this little lip here that air can go in and suction in and not come out as quickly as it would with the bottom side being bigger. So out of these two, I do like this shape better. And I have this size, and it would be, we won't do this today, but I just want to show you because this can be so good for your face and it feels really amazing. But you would just squeeze it. So you press air out, put it onto your cheek, release it. So now it's stuck to my face. Obviously, I don't want to leave it like this because you can get like a purple little bruise if you just leave it in place. But you would grab, oil up your skin and slide. Wow, you can see how red my face is already getting. So it increases blood flow. It also moves lymph, and it brings like dead tissues kind of to the surface to be recirculated through the body. This size specifically is for cheeks all the way down to low jaw. You can pop it like this on your third eye. And also, if you tend to have like a lot of puffiness through your neck, you can also suction and release it from below your throat. And again, you need oil if you're going to be using these cups. You would oil up your neck and then slide down your SCM muscle. Super nice if you get really tight through here. So these are called like face cups. I think I think I got mine. They were selling them at a spa for a crazy amount of money. Typically they come in a group of 4. You'll get one, like these are the smallest 2 that typically come in the group of 4. And then you'll have like quite a big one that you can use on your back. And then a size between the big one and this one. And I'm not even, maybe you would use it on your belly or chest or in smaller areas. But they're called facial cups. And I will, in the online space, I will add a link to like Amazon or something where you can buy them. It cost me $8 to get 4 of the cups. So they're actually super cheap when you don't buy them from a spa. At a spa, I think she was charging like $60 or something for them. I was like, what? So I got mine off Amazon, which I don't love buying things off of, but some things it's just like way more realistic, you know? So yes, so this would be also so amazing if you have lots of jaw tension, just starting through the neck. And I don't have enough oil on right now to slide it down my skin, but you would squeeze it to suction, pop it on. Oh, my hair's in the way. Pop it on. It's not staying. It's a small, it needs to be a size that will stay for your surface area. Again, that's why I don't love this shape the most. I like this shape better because it's super easy to suction on, just I think the way that it's built. And then I would slide this down my neck, and then I would keep doing that like over and over and over again. And then sometimes I'll even go along the bottom of my collarbone, suction and slide. So I highly recommend. And then these smaller ones, so I'll show you the difference in size. These smaller ones, the tissue around your eyes is a lot thinner. So this size is going to give a lot more suction and a lot more pull, which is not what you want for the vessels and the skin that's underneath and even around your eye. So you wouldn't want to use this around the eyes. That's what the small ones are for. And what you do is you start in the corner and you squeeze and release. And you go from inside to outside 3 times when you're using them. And this just, again, it helps to like plump up, especially if you get really dark and sort of like hollow or sunken underneath your eyes. This can be really amazing to rebound or offer the tissue some rebound, the muscles some rebound, the fascia some release underneath the eyes. And you can also do the same thing just above the brow. And you would do that 3 times, both sides. So that's what the small one is for, is around the eyeballs. Big ones for catch and release, I call it, but it's also rebounding. So again, it's going to get the lymph moving through your face and releasing the fascial tension. And if you get puffy in your under neck, this is a really great way to do that as well. Now, one other thing I will add before we really get into it, and I hope this is interesting and not just like, what is she doing? But there are what are called gua sha tools. I got to cover my face. So you can see one side has jagged. This one's a bit harder to see because of reflection, but you can see how there's like little jagged edges on one side and one side is smooth. The jagged parts are typically for the scalp. This one is stainless steel and I love it because it does not break. I've had so many gua sha tools, especially the plastic ones, they just snap. It's not even worth buying them. If you don't have children, these stone ones, I forget what type of stone this is, but you can get jade, you can get rose quartz, you can get obsidian, like you name it. There's stone ones that you can get of all different types of crystals. So you could even find a crystal that like works really good with your energetic body. But the jagged side is really good for going through the scalp. We have a lot of fluid and a lot of lymph that moves through the brain that often people aren't stimulating. And if you're someone who wears your hair up all the time and your hair is just sitting there, you're going to imagine that the fluids are sitting there too. When you wear your hair down, it's moving while you're walking or while you're moving, and that does support a small amount of lymph movement. But people also tend to like play with their hair more when it's down, and your fingers moving across your scalp or even just like fluffing your hair up is going to help to move the lymph. So just that you know, we can get quite a lot of lymph stagnancy through the head. So the jagged side of these tools are basically to scratch and stimulate. Yes, you can use your hands instead of a tool, but once you have the tool and you've done it, you're like, oh, it does offer benefit. It's also important to remember that lymph, there's lots of lymph nodes down the back of our neck. It often gets forgotten. So even once you get all the way to the back, again, it's nicer when you have oil. You could do this without, but then going down the backs of your neck. Super great tool, even if you have children and they're not feeling well, or you're not feeling well and there's all of this like buildup in the sinuses. The jagged side for your face. So you would go and brush. And if you have like sinuses, you would take this little pointy side and just scratch the inside of your nose and then wrap it along the cheekbone. So I'm going under my cheekbone and wide. So these tools are really great. Again, they're moving blood and lymph through your face that might be just sort of stuck there. And when you move blood and lymph out that's stuck there, you get new, fresh blood. So you'll notice like your complexion will get rosy because fresh blood is coming to the surface. Super helpful for your face. And then you do the same thing on this side, and this one you do your forehead. I don't know, this lighting in here is helping me, but I have quite a lot of, you can see a few forehead wrinkles from my second child. And I think just as a mom, like I'm always like, what's happening? You know, so my forehead is a bit crinkled. So I'll even take this tool when my face is oiled, not when it's dry. When it's oiled, which it's not very well, so I'm not going to add pressure, but you can go up and down and essentially like the opposite direction of your wrinkles. So you can go up and down just to help release any like sticky fascial part. So your fascia that's stuck to the muscle, that's stuck to the skin layer, you can sort of like help get that out. And if you have, I don't know if you can see mine, these little wrinkles, you go the opposite direction. So I'm using this corner to go opposite the wrinkle. Same thing if you got these ones, which you can see on me because I smile so much. If you have these lines, it also, you'll notice when you're dehydrated, your wrinkles will show so much more because the skin starts to like crease. And so hydration is going to be so important, but also you can sort of massage out with this tool these little wrinkles. I'm sure you could do it with your hand, but I find this is just like a whole other level. So this is called a gua sha tool. You'll find them in all different shapes and sizes. Here's my hand for size. I really like this shape. I like the angles. I even find like if I'm having like an earache, because when I get wind in my ear, I get quite a bit of an earache. I think as a kid, I was just out a lot and I was exposed to too much wind, and now I have a sensitivity to it. But I'll even take the corner right in front and rub my ear. And it feels completely different than when I do it with my finger. It's just like, I mean, my finger squishes, you know, your fingers squish, they have pads on them. This is not squishing. It's like it pushes in that little bit extra. So if I have earache, I'll go in front, and I'll even go behind and back. And I find that can really like clear up any congestion around my ear. And then of course I would go down and follow, like, I think it's the eustachian tube down to just like bring some movement through the area. So I wanted to bring these in, and these you can also get on Amazon. The difference is, and I've bought them off Amazon as well, but the difference is the quality of crystal. If you care about the quality of crystal that you're using, then I would recommend like finding somewhere that does like crystal testing, just to make sure it's like really high quality. But it's also like this stainless steel is not going to have like a charge to it, and it moves energy, it dissolves stagnation, it moves your lymph, you know, like it's going to do everything that this one does, and maybe more because of its sharpness. One other thing I want to add in terms of immunity is in the back, in your back, you have the urinary bladder meridian. Well, the urinary bladder meridian is the most superficial of all of the meridians, which means it's the most available for pathogens to enter down this back line, which is why in Chinese medicine they always say like have a scarf around your neck when it's windy or cold out, or like a sweater that will hide your neck, because it's the most vulnerable part of your body. But if you have a cold or something, or you can feel like your body's fighting something off, or there's that, like, for me, it's like a tingly feeling. And if you have kids, this can be a super awesome way of helping them if your kids let you touch them, or getting your partner to, or your mom or your dad. But taking the gua sha tool and at first starting down the neck, and you just, again, oil is nice, but you don't necessarily need it if you're scraping just the neck. So you would start at the top and scrape from the base of your neck down. And you might see red coming up right away. You might not. Sometimes people have so much stagnation in their body that it takes a while to get movement. Other people, it'll be like, whoa, it's all coming to the surface. But I can't reach myself, which is why you do need a partner for this. But then between your shoulder blades, you have your lung point on the urinary bladder meridian. I believe it's T3. And you would just scrape from the outside of your spine to the inside of your shoulder blade down. And this can be super helpful to support like getting the pathogens out. So I go from base of skull to the base of my shoulder blade, straight down. It's an amazing immunity boosting, and also if your immune system is fighting something, a way of supporting, like moving and getting things out of that area. Because in Chinese medicine, they say it's like pathogens will try and come in, and then we have this energetic defense system. So it's trying to push them out. And depending on how much energy is in your body, you know, what you've been doing, what you've been eating, all of these things will depend the level of defense that you have. And so when your defensive qi or your wei qi is really strong because you've been moving your body and breathing clean air and, you know, eating really nutritious food, you've been following your energy. So hanging out with people when it feels like you've got the energy to, and staying in when it feels like you don't, you know, like things like this, then the defensive qi is strong, and something will try to come in and it will just be like, no. But when our defensive qi is weak, and for whatever reason, like you could be eating well, drinking well, all of the things, but then we have this emotional stuff that's pulling all of our energy to like process it, you know, or you're in a postpartum window, or you just broke something in your body and your body's putting a lot of energy into healing that. The defense system might get weaker, and then all of a sudden there's like a pathogen coming in and the energy's like, oh, I don't quite have it, you know? And so we can do little techniques like get someone to gua sha our neck while we rest in bed, gua sha from skull to the bottom of your shoulder blades, just to help get those pathogens out and offer a bit of support, and then really keep that area warm. So these tools I find they get marketed quite a lot as like beauty tools, like get rid of your wrinkles and keep your face plump and your complexion bright, which is great. I love when I look good, like I like when I look radiant and I look alive and I look vibrant. And often when we have like energy in our body and we're taking really good care of our like mental health and our physical health, the body looks vibrant, like it just does. And vibrancy is good looking. It doesn't matter the shape or size or amount of wrinkles. Like there's such beautiful older women with wrinkles who are still so alive and they look good. But the reason that I love having these as tools is kind of where we're going a bit today, is in this season where yang energy is moving into yin. In our body, in the Chinese map anyways, yang is the upper body and yin is like hips down, lower body. All of the yang meridians connect to our face. So yang, again, is this like energy that's moving upwards and outwards, and it's the action of what's happening. It's the aliveness of what's happening. But what we often don't think about is how yang energy can get very trapped in our head, and in our head is our brain as an organ. And so yang energy can be really like circulating up here, and we can get that like overthinking, chaotic thoughts, like not being able to focus on anything because there's so much energy moving up here. We can also get, which I was talking about like with my forehead wrinkles, where we're kind of in this like, whoa, what's going on state all the time. And that's like yang energy getting trapped, right? If we tend to only be in certain emotional states and we don't allow ourselves the full range of emotional states, then energy is even moving through our whole body, but also our brain and our face in one particular way. And your face, and people think it's like resting bitch face. They're like, I'm not this way, my face is just this way. And you're like, well, your face is a literal expression of how you are. So maybe you're actually just like your usual energy movement through your face is a bit like judgmental, and so you have a bitch face. Like it comes from something. Like my face, you can even see like my one eyebrow sits a lot higher than my other one, and somehow like my one cheekbone even sits higher, and that will just show like energy is moving through my face not evenly. And women also, when you're ovulating, your face becomes more symmetrical based on your hormones and how they're moving through your body. And when you go into menstruating, and I'm just coming out of menstruation, which is why it's probably extra crooked right now. But when we menstruate, our actual face will shift to asymmetrical, which is crazy. You can watch that on yourself, because when we're ovulating, our biology in our body literally shifts so that we are like looking vibrant and beautiful, and like eyelashes tend to grow, women's boobs will plump up, all sorts of stuff, right? Like the fluids start to flow both through the yoni but also just through the whole body. And so our face is shifting and changing based on what's going on inside of us. But the way that your face is most often will say a lot about how the energy is moving through. Like for me, I can wink my right eye, but I can't my left, which means I will have more energy moving through this part of me than I would through here. I can easily pull my right cheek over, but my left one is not as easy. It's like I need to build some more movement through here. And one thing that's interesting about the face that often we don't talk about is that our face has tons of muscles in it, but our face only has this one joint, moving joint, I should say, is our jaw. That's the only joint that we have. And so how do all the other muscles of our face get worked? our bicep crosses over our elbow. And so moving our arm will pulse and move blood and fluids through my bicep when I'm lifting and doing things with my arms. But I can't do that with my face. And so how we get our face to move so that lymph and blood can move through it is either through a full range of expression, like, and most people now are Botoxing their faces and getting no expression. So that right away stagnates all of the blood and the fluids through your body. The other thing with the face is, like, if we want muscles and fascia to be released, it's actually through manually doing it. So through touching your face, through moving and stimulating the muscles in your face, or practicing like this different range of movements that your face could make. In our body, everything, it's through all of our movements, but in the face, it's really through expression and through touch that your face is going to get like lymph, blood flow. Also muscles. Our muscles can become weak, as can our organs, and then they can get this like sort of drooping quality. And often what the muscles need, or even the organs, is like a rebound where you press on them and like remind them, oh, right, I'm awake. Oh, right, I'm alive. You can do that with your organs. If you have an organ that is maybe prolapsed or sluggish, you can go and just push and release, and it reminds the organ and like releases stagnation. So that's where these little cupping tools can become really, and I mean, you can do them wherever you want. There is, of course, like here, if you're doing a lymph one, you have to move everything in this particular direction. But in Chinese medicine, you have acupressure points all over your face that you can stimulate and work that are going to be helpful and beneficial to you. Okay. So again, I will add like an Amazon link to where you could get these cups for a really good price. And then the gua sha tools, again, you can get them on Amazon. I think you can even get the stainless steel ones. I got this from a Chinese store, but it also has like the pointy end where you can really like hold and dig in for acupressure. I wouldn't do this on like this, my face skin with this one necessarily, outside of like maybe in front of my ear, but throughout the body, you can even just press and point, or point and press. Okay. So, one other thing. These ones, someone gifted me this, and I was watching someone use it on their face and it looked really amazing. Usually you'll have two of them, so you can do it at the same time. But you essentially hold it either between your fingers, or you can hold it like this, and it's just another way of sort of nourishing and moving things through your skin. I don't find it nearly as impactful as the actual gua sha tool, but it is a cute idea. And if you are more on the sensitive side, and pressure or like direct pressure is like, oh, which some of us really have that reaction of like, oh, that's too much. This is a much softer tool. This one is made out of rose quartz. I have seen them made out of obsidian as well, or just regular quartz. So again, an interesting tool. These ones I think are quite a lot softer if that's what your body needs, a little bit softer. And you could go through all these different spaces of your body to help support movement without using the pressure of your fingers if you have joint pain in your fingers. Okay, so let's continue on. So sit in a position that is supportive to you. And some of you might even need to lay down, but just make sure you can see me. And if your hair is in a ponytail and you are okay to take it down, because we will move from our brain to hair to face and give ourselves some love in the upper to help support any yang that's sort of like stuck, creating tension or strange thought patternings or circular thought patternings. Will hopefully release those stagnations and invite the yang energy to kind of float and drift down in towards the feet, which is more yin oriented. And once you sit or lay, or some of you might even need to stand, depending on where you are in your day, it doesn't matter. Let your awareness come into your head, and it might go, when you say head, it might go to your face, it might go to your tight jaw, maybe the base of your skull, maybe in your brain you feel like there's some unevenness. You might automatically want to start playing with your hair, and you can let yourself. But when you come into, let's say, bottom of the neck up, where is there the most sensation, or where calls upon your attention the most? Like for me, I can definitely feel like tension in my forehead, on the right side of my brain as well. And even my tongue, I find, is trying to sit more rigid and almost pushing my upper palate more than it needs to be. So there can be more than one spot of attention or of tension. And go in with not needing to like absolutely nail it, but just to be curious, like, oh, what's here? Is there more tension in the front than in the back? Or more tension on one side than the other? Just explore with like full openness. And without a need to fix it. Right. And let your right arm lift up. And we have a lot of lymph nodes in our armpits. So at first, just start like have your arm lifted and then place your other hand in your armpit nook. So the armpit nook is sort of the wholeness of your armpit. And just find how you can, and then push or squeeze and release as if you were the pump, or you are the pump. So you're pushing your armpit, releasing, pushing and releasing, almost as if you're trying to like rebound or create a bit of a suction cup with your hand, kind of like how the cups work. And you're like suctioning and releasing your armpit to help stimulate your lymph nodes to start moving fluids through them. Anytime you work with lymph, you want to get the main pathways awake first, so that when we start to move liquids and fluids through and out of the brain and the face, these pumps are already like suctioning, waiting for more fluid to come. Then another thing you can do, because the lymph is quite surface, is you can even run your hand and it might be up for you. It might feel like down is correct. For some of you, you might want to go side to side or in circles. You might find your breath pattern changes, or you want to take a deep breath in and a sigh, and that's just your body supporting, moving energy, which then moves your fluids. And again, it's not a hard pressure or rubbing. It's like actually quite surface level where you're almost just rolling the skin around so that the fluids can move underneath it. We're not going muscle level. Good. And then you can let your right arm come down and then find underneath your collarbone, more towards the shoulder. There's also a lot of lymph nodes there, so you can just push and release. Again, think of your lymphatic system as working like a suction. So it's suctioning like plasma out of the blood into the lymph, and then it's suctioning lymph back into the blood vessels or into the plasma. So you're helping with this suction by offering like a pump, because the lymphatic system does not have a pump. And if you find like a puffier spot, maybe not directly under the collarbone, but sort of in line with the shoulder, you can also go to those puffy spots and pump. Sometimes we get congestion buildup for whatever myriad of reasons. And if you're like, whoa, that feels good, which I'm also experiencing, it might just be a bit of congestion. Your body's like, oh, thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me. And for some of you, it might not be anything at all. When you feel complete on the right side, left arm will come up and you'll do the same thing, sort of like suction, cup, and release the armpit. Waking up the lymph nodes, preparing them to be ready to circulate fluids. And when you feel like you've gotten lots of this like pumping, again, you can make circles or slide up or down depending on what your body is like. Oh yeah, that's the right direction. Mine's wanting circles today. And we're just moving the skin. It's not like trying to squeeze your muscles and get them to release. We're just gently, softly rolling the armpits. And while we do this, I've just been realizing again lately that sometimes we make everything seem like it's so complex, and it's actually so simple. Sometimes it's just like rubbing your armpits and massaging your face, It doesn't have to be this massive big practice. It can be something small, and it will create change when it's done with presence. When you feel like your armpit's complete, you'll slide underneath your collarbone towards the shoulder, and your body will know where. It really will. And gentle press and releases. And for some of you, if you've been here a while and you are quite sensitive in your body, you might even be able to like presence yourself to your lymphatic system right now and just feel the way that the fluids are coming in and out of the system through suction. And if you haven't been here a long time, that might be like, whoa, what? And you can just let that go and just focus on these little pumps that will support the movement of your lymph. Again, let any sighs or sounds that want to release from your body do so. It's truly just your body responding to what you're doing to it in a way that's like, let me help you do that. I'll sigh, which will release some stagnation. And then you can always go from under the collarbone, sort of along the line towards your armpit crease. And you can even feel under your hands, like almost like pushing your hand into a little mini puddle, and it sort of disperses as you add the pressure. And as you release the pressure, the water and fluids come back, filling the skin up again. Good. And if your hands feel like they want to do a soft sort of draping, or even you might find you want to pull from the top of your neck down towards your armpits. That can be a really nice way of sort of inviting that movement. And again, it's not pulling. We're not trying to release our muscles. We're not pushing into them. It's just skin level, fluid level from underneath your jawline with the base of your hands on either side of your neck. Then gently pulling down towards the under collarbone and then wide towards your armpits. Just inviting the fluid to go in the direction it's meant to so it can drain through the armpits. Again, any sighs or sounds are welcome. And you'll know, you'll do enough and then you'll be like, whoa, like I can feel my whole brain right now. It's like, what's happening? But that might be because I have a bit of congestion going on over here. So, okay, good. Now from there, take your hands into your hair and go start temples first. And then I'm digging my fingers into my scalp at the top and then sliding down towards my ears, because you also have a lot of lymph nodes coming through the front and back of the ears. But trust yourself, just start to rub and massage your head. And you might start at the temples and feel like, wow, I should really stay here. There's a lot there. Or you might find the top of your skull is like, whoa, it's so stuck there. And then you can really like scratch, press, pulse, and release. All sorts of different techniques. For some of you, you might get more stagnation in the lymph from the back of your skull or the back of your neck. And so you might want to focus there, but just take this moment, play with your hair. You might even pull it. Pulling feels so good. And it really helps to pull the skin away from the skull, which then leaves more space for your fluids to flow. So I pull away and then sort of go up and down, like bouncing it as if the up and down is creating the pump, you know? And if you find when you do this that you can feel some tension in the back of your neck, that might be the lymph channels stuck here. So you might even just gently, or it would be a good idea to, I shouldn't say might, gently squeeze and release your neck. Brush the skin the way that we did under the armpits, or maybe for you it's little circles to get the lymph flowing through the back of the neck, which I should have done earlier. You might find that you go into a bit of a trance and you can follow your own self and go for it. Your body will tell you what you need if you can trust that it knows. And the back of your neck too, and it might be really hard if you're just learning to really feel when your body's like, okay, that's good. But that's what we're working towards. So it might feel like a shot in the dark right now, but if you keep listening and tuning into your body, and when it says, okay, that's good, I feel really complete with the releasing of the lymph in the back of my neck, then you can go back to your hair and pulling. And some of you might find the lymph in the back of your neck doesn't get clogged up. Maybe you don't sit on your phone all day, or aren't on the computer all day, or don't sit hunched. You know, maybe you sit quite upright and there's lots of movement all the time. So you might touch and it be like, oh, we're good. And some of you, like I'm noticing from the breastfeeding position, you know, that the way the neck sits can get a lot of buildup here of fluids. And so you might find when, instead of trying to like release your neck muscles, but you're instead just offering this gentle, more focused on the fluids, you'll feel like, whoa, there's a lot of congestion here. And it might need just a little bit more pressing and releasing, or direction towards the armpits to help release it. And whenever you get there, then maybe come back to your hair and see if it feels different now that you added the back of the neck in. You might even notice you want to sigh a couple more times, or sound. Maybe there's even a little scream that wants to come out, and let it come out. Okay. Go ahead. And then when you feel complete, and if you're like, wow, I'm really into it, just if you're watching the recording, press pause, or if you want to just like zone me out a little bit and come back when you're ready, please. The best thing we can really learn to do is like follow the cues of our own body. So from here, what I find can be helpful at first, but you don't have to, is I have a table in front of me so my elbows can go onto the table, but you can also sit with your knees up and put your elbows on your knees, and then let your face a bit fall into your hands. And in this moment, we'll remember that our brain is an organ, first of all. We often forget to think about it like we do our heart or our lungs, but the brain is an organ that also likes attention, and not just thought attention, because that again is only moving energy through the brain in one way, but sensory attention. And so as you lean your head forward into your hands, bring your awareness into your brain. And since we're leaning forward a little bit and the face is held, the brain will likely float through the fluids towards the front. And hopefully the front of your brain, which is normally trying to organize and categorize what's going on, can relax a little bit, which might open you up to the back of the brain, which is more of where we experience things. You may give your brain like a very gentle side to side with your hands in order to feel it wiggle and move in the fluids that are inside your skull, that your brain floats in. And more than anything, presence yourself to your brain floating in fluids. So that you may enter a state inside of your brain that is not like my brain organizing and categorizing information, but rather it's like my brain is so buoyant and held by these fluids inside my skull. So that your brain can be, instead of yang in activity of thinking, because thinking is an action which makes it yang, instead your brain can even shift into yin, which is the thing that is holding or being held is yin. And so in this moment, you're offering your brain out of the yang activity and into the holding container of yin, where it can be simply an organ floating in fluids instead of this thing that's like constantly working and inundated with information, Right now, it's just this beautiful, squishy, folded organ that's floating in fluids, that's held by these fluids, that has a way slower, softer rhythm. And you may notice even the way you're holding your neck creates tension at the base of your brain or lacks buoyancy. And so even invite yourself posturally. How can I sit Or how can I hold my brain where the whole brain, from the base of my brain to the front of my brain, the top and the bottom, can all feel maybe softer or more supple. Maybe possibility starts to flow back into the realm of your brain. Perhaps parts of your brain hold more tension than other parts, and in the buoyancy, the whole brain is actually even. One part doesn't have to hold it all because all of it is just being held by your fluids. And some of you might feel inspired to start moving your head and releasing your hands from your head and exploring more fluid, slow movements, but your attention stays on how your brain shifts when you move within the fluids. Where does the weight go? Can you feel as you bring your head forward that the weight of your brain comes forward into the fluids? And if you lift your chin and your head goes back, your whole brain and the weight of it falls back, but is kind of bounced a little bit up and down through the fluids that are between your brain and your skull. And when you go over to one side, can you really feel the weight of your brain like boop? That's the sound I can feel like it makes. It's like boop, boop, as it's moving through the fluids. And when you go from one side to the other side, can you feel your brain just sort of pouring through? Maybe not pouring through fluids, but bouncing or buoyantly shifting its weight, dependent on where gravity pulls it from. And it might not be easy to access, and so you just become really present and open to not knowing, or maybe even not feeling it right now, but being open to one day exploring that. And some of you might be rolling on the ground, and some of you might have stood up and started moving your brain, and you're allowed to do whatever is going to allow you to access that experience the most. And you can notice, is there any places throughout your body that are kind of holding a little bit tighter as you free your brain up? And again, this becomes supportive because as the brain has different attention on it, when the brain is held and utilized differently, the energy will be moving differently through it. And your energy is what moves your blood and body fluids. So now all of a sudden the fluids and your blood are going to start moving differently through your brain, through the fluids that bathe your brain, through the skull that holds that fluid and brain. And then, of course, all of that's being circulated back into your heart and through the rest of your system. So just this tiny exploration of your brain floating can even change the way that your face looks, or your eyes, the softness or sharpness of them can shift. Mm-hmm. Good. Good. And again, you can keep going. If you're like really in it, then keep going. And otherwise, see if you can let your eyes open if they're not. And notice if your brain immediately starts to go hard and you lack or lose that sensation of it floating in fluids just from being like, wow, I'm here. And then your brain's like, I got to start doing stuff, which it might or might not do. But see if you can have your eyes now open and look around your space while equally being aware. And this is often hard to do two things at once. But be aware that my brain or your brain is still floating in fluids. Feel or experience to the best you can your brain still floating in fluids as you're here looking around. Your brain doesn't need to categorize anything, doesn't need to make sense of anything. We're just feeling it. We're feeling your brain, or you're feeling your brain floating in fluids while you look around so that your brain can stay soft for you. You might find you want to close your eyes for a moment and come back to the more visualization, dreaminess of having the eyes closed. And then you can invite yourself when you feel ready, or maybe before you feel ready, to open them and keep these gentle oscillations of your brain being able to just like bloop, 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 move around your head as your eyes are open and you scan the room while changing the shape, maybe not the shape, but the position of gravity on your head. Mm-hmm. Every sigh that comes is allowed to be released, and we encourage that body support. Yeah, we can be here with a soft brain. And when you feel ready, and you don't need to feel ready anytime soon, but when you do, keep with what you're already doing, gently looking around, and not in a way that's stimulating and creating chaos, but in a way that's like allowing you to be here while in this buoyancy of your brain. Then you'll bring your hands eventually, when you again feel ready to, onto your face, wherever they land. And this might all of a sudden feel like, whoa, that's too much information for my nervous system to track. And you can just let your hands stay down if that's the reality for you. But if you can, start to touch your face, just so your skin can feel you. This is real. Here I am. Good. And then let your eyes come and cover, or your hands rather, come and cover your eyes, your forehead, your cheeks. Your eyes will close and come back into your brain, floating in fluids, while you touch your face in a more simple way. Just let your head slowly but surely change positions. So your brain is being pulled by gravity in different ways, which allows you to sense its movement within the fluids. If you find a spot where you're like, oh, I just want to stay there for a second, stay. Your hands, your fingers can gently start to add just a little bit more pressure to your forehead, not a lot. We're not going muscular. We're just going moving and sliding your skin and fascia and fluids along the bone that's under your forehead. So your hands are just, as your face moves, are sort of holding the skin so that the skull is sliding underneath the skin, and you can begin to feel yourself sort of moving your skin along your forehead. And you might find, wow, my skin here has a lot of movement. And some of you, myself included, might find like, wow, my skin feels very adhered to the bone, like it feels very stuck. And that's okay. We just keep moving our skin of our forehead with our hands while letting your head find a pacing and movement that supports your brain staying really released into the fluids that it bathes in. And some of you might find that you move from your forehead to your temples. Some of you may want to stay on your forehead for quite some time until it feels like the skin is no longer stuck, but there's some kind of squishiness or malleability to it, or you can feel that it can move around the part of your skull that's under your forehead. If your brain ever tries to move into the yang activity of what am I even doing? What is this supposed to be like? What should I be doing? We keep releasing it into the fluids. Often doesn't make sense when the body starts to move itself what it needs. And so there's relinquishing control over trying to do it right, or trying to be good at it, or trying to know what needs to happen. Instead, what if you dissolve your brain into the fluids so that your body can take over and be like, see, I know what I need. I know what my face needs. And I can release into that as much as possible in this moment. That I don't need to know. I don't need to make sense of these sensations that are happening inside of me. I'm just going to follow them and actually release myself into the container of them. I don't need to do. I can enter the yin and trust that it knows how to hold whatever needs to happen. You may find you start now with the palm of your hand along the bottom of your cheekbone, where instead of the fingers being under pressure on the forehead, you start to press into the palms and roll your cheeks or your jaw. You might go more outwards, which will come into your jaw. Maybe that's what you need more to release it into the yin instead of the activity of the holding pattern. Some of you might go lower down your face where it's your outer mouth and sort of more through your sinuses where you'll try to create space and mobility. And it does help if you let your head keep moving the way that you were when you were exploring your brain in the fluids, instead of stopping and going still and pushing, because it will keep that fluidity, almost that, I want to call it like lucid for some reason, but it will keep that surrender happening in your body while you start going through your face and moving it around. And if you go somewhere and you're like, I'm not getting anything out of that, find somewhere else. Maybe you push more into your fourth and middle finger that's now on your cheekbone instead of your forehead, especially if your sinuses are really sort of stuck. Letting your mouth be soft so you can like really move your jaw around even. Good. And for a moment, take the palm, and again, you can be continuing doing your own thing. Take the palm of your hand at the lowest point of your cheekbone, which is usually in line with your pupil, and let yourself lean into it. So maybe your elbows come inward to be pressed onto your body, or maybe they're on a table or on your knees. And you'll just pause for a second with your fingers up your forehead resting and your face falling into the base of your hands, and letting all of your weight sort of fall into that one point. And since there was a lot of movement and now we go to stillness, use that stillness to see what arises or what movements are happening even when I'm still that perhaps weren't happening before. Keeping your forehead soft, not needing to categorize anything or make sense of it, just staying present to the movements that arise from the actions you're doing. Then slide the base of your palms towards your ears and then go above your cheekbone. So you're not in the temple, you're just like ever so slightly wider. You go as wide as you can on your face, and then you'll go above the cheekbone. And then squeeze. And as you squeeze, you might find your brain wants to rock right and left again, or maybe you just want to be still and squeeze, or maybe chin to chest and squeeze. And maybe you want to squeeze and pull those tendons slightly forward. Or maybe your spine starts to rock right to left to try and release tension. Just follow your body, let it do whatever arises from what you're doing. When you feel done with that, let yourself pull your hair and play with your hair again as if you were using the playing of your hair to sort of wash and move and cleanse. Or maybe it's just a continuation of what's happening. Good. Let your left ear come to your left shoulder. Your left hand come onto your right temple. And this might be enough. Some of you might want to take your right hand behind your low back. And just pull the skin with your left hand a little bit up. You might just hold still while you breathe into the side of your neck. Some of you might want to add little continuous movements to unravel anything that might be stuck through the base of the skull, the lower jaw, or your neck. There might be a humming or a sound to help support the release. Or there might be one spot where you're like, woof, I gotta stay there and breathe. Then let your left hand come even more over the side of your right head so that you're almost grabbing like the base of your skull on the right side. And just pull or gently rock back and forth the base of your skull. And you might even need to just grab the front of your ear if you can't quite reach. We all have different anatomical arm lengths and neck lengths. And you'll know what to do. Do you need to lift up and stretch the front while you pull your ear back, or do you need to pull your head almost down and forward while pulling the top of your shoulder away from your head? And you'll very gently release your hand as you roll and switch sides. At first, your right ear comes to your right shoulder. Maybe you move your hair or scrape your skull with your nails. And then your hand will come to the temporal side of your left skull as your left shoulder. Either you just release it, or maybe some of you place your left hand behind the small of your left back, or your low back rather. And same thing here, your brain is now floating in fluids off to the right. You might add total stillness with breath, or maybe you require a little bit of continuous micro adjustments. Perhaps a sigh or a sound come. Your brain is floating, free of needing to categorize or organize. It's floating instead. Then you can slide your right hand further down. It might be to grab the front of your left ear, or maybe you can grab your jaw or the base of your skull. And take it a step potentially further, maybe rolling in and out. Is it the front of your neck and chest that need it? The extra stretch and movement, or is it perhaps the back of your neck, back of the space between your shoulder blades that need a little bit more attention from you? Or maybe just space generally, or perhaps breath. It may even be the whole range from front and rolling and pulling your head all the way open and up into the back. Only your neck and shoulders will know what you need. And we'll all need different things based on our posture, based on what we do each day. Based on how the energy moves through our body. Good. And when you feel complete, and each of us will need a little bit more time on one side or the other, so you really let yourself complete. And when you're complete, you'll bring your head to center, and the base of your palms will come underneath your collarbones, and you'll pull down the skin as you lift up your chin. And you can let out a sigh. You might just pull down. Some of you might need to like pull your skin right to left to release any adhesions or holdings. You can slide your fingers along the front of your sternum where there's also a lot of lymph nodes. There's a lot of energy stagnation that can happen through here. You can keep lifting your chin up or bring it neutral. Then take your fingertips to the center of your sternum and start pulling outward. And as you do, you might find you need to take a really deep breath in and like, whew, let some sighs go. Good. And then tap your chest when that feels complete, or like that's as much energy as you can handle releasing in this moment. And then let yourself tap your chest from the center. You can go outward or downward. You know where to go. Good. And then pause when you feel complete and let your hands come down into rest. Let your belly be soft. You might even want to lay down if sitting doesn't feel good for you, or like you need a full pause, not just a meditation. And imagine your body like an hourglass. Your head is one top of the hourglass. Your neck is where it cinches in the middle. And your body is the bottom of the hourglass. And as you sit or lay, imagine the sand that's in the hourglass at the top of your head just slowly flows through your throat, tiny bit at a time, as it gently, surely fills your body up. And again, let your brain stay floating so it doesn't go into like, I must visualize and see this, but rather it stays floating in fluids and the visualization begins to come to you. And all the sand and energy and effort start to drip and drain into your body, filling your body with nourishment, with energy to both feel but also to invite all of the undigested or held things to have energy to process them. All the energy slowly sending itself into your body. Your body open to receive this energy. And releasing this hourglass visualization or even sensation. Let your body and brain be just as they are. Gravity pulling on you in a particular direction. And that gravity pulling, within it arises something that creates an anti-gravity. And the yin of your body rests into what is real and what is true and what is there. But it rests as all yang activity happens for your greater good, for your wellness. The bottoms of your feet hold or house within them a presence more deep than previously experienced, a connection to the energy of the earth, whether they're touching it or not. Your feet housing this anchored, rooted energy for you that can remind you of your realness and how here you are. That can hold and stabilize all the wild yang energy as it pulses through you in creative desire. But the weight of your feet become known in the felt sense of your body. And that weight offers you a sense of here-ness. And that here-ness is what makes it all feel real. That lends the possibility of truly feeling what your senses are picking up in each moment and their reaction to that information. And your consciousness, your spirit, and your soul are then here to witness those sensations and those ripples. And let your breath become known to you and to your awareness. Can for just a moment your breath feel free? Free to breathe. Free for your body to be breathed. For your breath to remind you of the aliveness that is always coursing through you. May your breath remind you of the freedom that is always here for you, the lightness. the possibility, the spaciousness that you contain inside of you. Mm. And your here-ness, your skin, your bones, your muscles, your organs, the part of you that is impacted by gravity, but the part of you that also allows your breath and all of the space to be felt, to be witnessed by you as sensation. Hmm. Good. If you are sitting up, if you can for a moment very softly make your way onto your back. If you're on your back, we'll all meet with your knees brought into your chests with your arms wrapped around either your hamstrings or your shins to give yourself a squeeze. Here you are. You are here. And come into happy baby. Your feet will head towards the sky or ceiling while your knees stay bent. Your arms come on the insides of your knees, but your hands grab the outsides of your feet. And with your middle finger and maybe your second and fourth finger too, squeeze the bottoms of your feet the same way you were pumping your lymphatic system. Squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release the bottoms of your feet. Fine. You can gently release your feet and roll onto one side, or if it's early in your day and you want to, you could grab behind your knees, tuck your chin to chest, and roll forward and backwards, forward and backwards, forward and backwards till you rock up to seated. Also helping to stimulate the flow of energy through the back line. And when you get to seated, let your hands come to your face and equally your face come into your hands. And let yourself settle into you. This is you. This is your face you're holding. This is your body. This is the space your body and face are in. You are here and you are flowing. And you are so much space and yet also content. And thank you for being here. And I hope your face and your brain maybe got a moment of feeling a little lighter. Thank you.